Most people think the worst thing a family can do is hit you. They are wrong. The worst thing is when they steal the only thing that was truly yours and then ask you to thank them for it. My name is Angela Adams. I am 22 years old, and this is the story of how I closed a door my family had been walking through for 6 years without my permission. Our house sat on a quiet Midwestern street. 4 bedrooms, a 2-car garage. The kind of neighborhood where neighbors wave from their porches and measure success by whose child gets mentioned in the church bulletin first. The living room wall told you everything you needed to know about the Adams family. My brother Dylan's photos covered every inch of it. Graduation cap tossed in the air, internship badge clipped to a press shirt, employee of the quarter plaque held up with both hands and that camera-ready grin. There was one photo of me. Tucked near the coat closet. 9th grade science fair. I was holding a first-place ribbon like I didn't quite believe it. Nobody in my family had understood the project. Nobody had asked. My father, Richard, was a retired mechanical engineer who ran the household like a production floor. My mother, Diane, loved both her children. She just loved one of them louder. And Dylan, 27, easy smile, the kind of handshake that made older men nod with approval. Senior developer at a Fortune 500 tech firm. My parents called him their star. And me? Senior year. GPA 3.95. Researching machine learning under a professor who actually knew my name. But at Sunday dinners, when I mentioned my research, my mother would smile that patient smile and say, "That's nice, honey. Dylan, tell your father about the promotion." Let me tell you something about quiet people. We are not quiet because we have nothing to say. We are quiet because we are watching. My real life happened between midnight and 4 in the morning, in a windowless room on the 3rd floor of Whitaker Hall, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, one of them flickering in a rhythm I had memorized like a heartbeat, the smell of stale coffee and overheated processors. I was building something I was genuinely proud of, an adaptive optimization algorithm for large-scale data processing. It could learn from its own errors and recalibrate in real time. I had been developing it for almost 2 years, version after version, each one sharper than the last. Every iteration lived in my private repository, time-stamped, annotated, mine. My advisor was Dr. Ayla Marsh, silver-haired, allergic to small talk. The first time she reviewed my code, she pulled her reading glasses down and looked at me over the frames. "This is graduate-level work, Adams. Why are you here? My parents said this school was good enough." She was quiet for a long moment. Then she handed me a brochure. A university in Washington, D.C. I had only ever seen in rankings I scrolled past because dreaming about it felt wasteful. "Apply," she said. "You deserve a place that sees you." I tucked the brochure into my bag. I did not tell anyone at home. My laptop was old and temperamental, so I kept backups on the family cloud account, a shared drive my father had set up years ago for tax documents and vacation photos. I did not know it then, but that backup was about to cost me everything. And then give me everything back. The email arrived on a Tuesday at 11 at night. I was in the lab debugging a subroutine. Inbox pinged. Sender I did not recognize. Marcus Webb. Subject line, "Quick question about your optimization paper." I opened it. He had come across my working paper while researching a similar problem. He had noticed remarkable similarities between my work and the core engine behind the predictive analytics platform at Meridian Technologies, developed by my brother Dylan Adams. Did we collaborate? I opened Meridian's public tech blog in another tab, typed Dylan's name. His author page loaded. 4 published posts about his predictive analytics engine. I clicked the first one. The architecture diagram was mine. The optimization logic was mine. The variable names were different. He had gone through and renamed them the way you would change a font on a stolen essay. But the structure? The flow? The elegant recursion I had spent 14 months perfecting. Mine. Every line. I opened the family cloud drive, navigated to my project folder, clicked Access History. 47 entries. 47 times Dylan had opened my files over 3 years. Timestamps. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., weekends, holidays, while I was away at conferences, while I was asleep down the hall. I sat in that lab for a very long time. The fluorescent light flickered. The processors hummed. The coffee in my cup went cold. I did not cry. I just sat there doing the math. 6 years of theft multiplied by everything he had built on it. 47 times. And I had been sitting at his dinner table every Sunday passing him the salt.
The first time Dylan stole from me, he called it borrowing. The second time, he called it collaborating. By the 5th time, he did not call it anything at all. I was 16. He was 21, grinding through a master's program 2 hours north. He called me one night in a voice laced with panic. "Angie, I need help. Final project due Friday. Can you walk me through your sorting algorithm?" I did not walk him through it. I wrote it for him. Sat on my bed with my laptop balanced on a textbook, typing code while he dictated what his professor wanted. 3 hours. He got an A+. When I saw that grade on his fridge at Thanksgiving, something small and sharp turned in my chest. "I thought you said you rewrote most of it," I said. He grinned. I cleaned it up. I looked at Mom. She was drying a casserole dish. "He is your brother, Angela. Family helps family." That became the pattern. Dylan would call late, always urgent. Could I explain this concept? Could I sketch out this framework? Could I just take a look at something? Each time, he took a little more. Each time, I said a little less. The night Dylan got his acceptance letter from Meridian Technologies, my father popped champagne in the kitchen. Diane cried happy tears. I clapped. I smiled. Nobody in that kitchen knew that the capstone project securing Dylan's master's degree, the one that caught Meridian's eye, ran on code I had written at 17. In my experience, the first lie is always the most expensive. Not for the liar, for the person who forgives it. Dr. Marsh taught me the most important lesson of my life that February afternoon. Not about code, about chess. I had walked into her office with a printout of the cloud access history and a face that must have looked like a closed fist. She read every page without interrupting. Then she set it down and folded her hands. "What do you want, Angela? Revenge or your future?" I wanted to say both. Instead, I said, "Can I have Tuesday?" She almost smiled. "Tell me your plan." Here was the math. If I confronted Dylan now, my parents would circle the wagons. They would cut my tuition, my only financial lifeline. I would lose my apartment, my lab access, my last semester. I would blow up my life to make a point. And Dylan would still have his job, his degree, and his story. My word against his. And in the Addams family, his word had always outranked mine. But if I waited, if I applied for the transfer first, secured an exit, built my case properly, I could leave on my terms, with somewhere to go. "The transfer deadline is March 1st, I said. Dr. Marsh said, "I already drafted your recommendation letter. I was waiting for you to ask." That night, I began organizing what I already had. My repository history with timestamps predating Dylan's submissions by months. My research notes, handwritten, dated, cross-referenced. Email threads with Dr. Marsh discussing the algorithm's development in real time. Everything existed. I just had to put it in order. Dr. Marsh signed her letter the following morning. 3 pages. She did not hold back. I submitted the transfer application on February 28th. Then I drove home and helped my mother chop onions for Sunday dinner. When my mother said important dinner, she always meant one thing. Someone was about to be put in their place, and it was never Dylan. The call came on a Monday. Diane's voice had that particular brightness she used when she had already decided something and wanted it to sound like a suggestion. Friday dinner at the house. Your father has something he would like to discuss. Dylan and Brooke will be there. I texted Dylan. What is Friday about? His reply came fast. Just come, it will be fine. The same tone he used right before he asked for something. The dining room was set for 5. Grandmother's china with gold edges, 2 candle tapers, pot roast centered on the table, a bottle of red wine from the high shelf. Whatever was about to happen, my parents had dressed it up. Richard sat at the head, jaw set, fingers laced. Dylan in a blue button-down, sleeves rolled, relaxed as a man with nothing to hide. Small talk circled the table like a nervous bird. Dylan ate quickly, eyes on his plate. He knew something was coming too. He just thought it was aimed at me. My father cleared his throat. And just like that, the evening stopped pretending. Angela, your mother and I need to address something. He straightened in his chair. This was not a conversation. It was a sentencing. Your brother has expressed concern that you have been distant, cold, unsupportive of his accomplishments. I looked at Dylan. He had the decency to look down for about 2 seconds. Then he raised his chin and arranged his face into something wounded. I just want my sister back, he said, his voice catching, eyes glistening. A performance so polished it should have come with an intermission. My father did not blink. Your brother has done nothing but make this family proud. He has worked hard, built a career, found a wonderful partner, and you sit there with that attitude? My mother leaned in, her voice soft, the guilt trip whisper she had perfected over decades. Honey, we are not asking much. Just apologize. Clear the air so we can all move forward as a family. And then Richard reached for his wine. Your mother and I have decided to pause our contribution to your education, for your own good, until you do. The silence that followed was the loudest thing I had ever heard. Brooke stared at her plate. Diane nodded, eyes red, loyal to the script. Dylan pressed his lips together. Not remorse, anticipation. I set my knife and fork down, parallel, the way Diane had taught me. Looked at each of them. Took one breath. Fine. Richard's shoulders dropped. A satisfied smile broke across his face. Diane exhaled. Her hand went to her chest. Dylan sat back, vindicated. They thought I was surrendering. I pushed my chair back and stood up. Fine. You can keep the tuition. I do not need it anymore. The smile on Richard's face did not disappear. It froze, like a clock that stops between ticks. I have been accepted to transfer to a university in Washington, D.C. Dylan tried the only move he had left. He tried to be the victim. She is lying, his voice cracked on the second word. She is always jealous. This is some kind of revenge fantasy. She probably faked the timestamps. I did not argue. I turned the laptop so the screen faced Dylan directly. Explain the recursive optimization layer. Right now. Walk us through it. Silence. You told Dad it took you 8 months to develop. Explain how it works. His jaw moved. Nothing came out. Brooke's chair moved first, a slow push back from the table. Not dramatic, just a woman making distance between herself and a stranger. Dylan, whose voice was very small. Is this true? He looked at her, at his father, at his mother. Found no rescue in any of their faces. I sent the documentation this morning to Meridian's Office of Corporate Compliance and to the Committee on Academic Integrity at your graduate school. Dylan gripped the back of his chair. His knuckles went white. Brooke stood up, picked up her purse from the sideboard, said, "Excuse me," and walked out the front door. The latch clicked shut behind her. Soft. Final. Diane buried her face in her hands. Richard stared at the screen and said nothing. I closed the laptop, put on my jacket, picked up my bag. I walked out past the photos on the wall,
past the coat closet, past my one small picture already fading behind the glass. I did not take it with me. I did not turn the radio on for the drive home. Some silences need to be heard. That night, I packed the last of 11 boxes and set my alarm for 5:30. By sunrise, my room was empty. And so was theirs.
Dylan's badge stopped working on a Tuesday. Tuesdays, it turned out, were anything but boring. 2 weeks into my new life in D.C., the first email arrived. Meridian Technologies, Office of Corporate Compliance. They had opened a formal investigation. A month later, Marcus Webb texted me directly. Dylan has been suspended pending the investigation, locked out of all systems, badge deactivated. It is real, Angela. I read it on a bench under oak trees older than the building. Students walked past carrying iced coffees and arguing about coursework. The world was not pausing to acknowledge that a man's career had just dissolved. It just kept going. So did I. September came. The email from the academic committee arrived while I was studying for my first midterm. Following a thorough review of the evidence submitted, the committee has concluded that Mr. Dylan R. Adams committed substantial violations of the university's academic integrity policy. The Master of Science degree awarded to Mr. Adams has been formally revoked, effective immediately. Revoked. I read that word twice. 3 words had undone 6 years of fiction. Meridian moved the same week. Once the degree revocation became official, their hands were tied. Dylan had been hired and promoted based on credentials that no longer existed. Formal termination. Legal proceedings to recover $180,000 in performance bonuses paid under false pretenses. I did not celebrate. I put the phone down, picked up my highlighter, went back to chapter 7. I felt like someone who had finally finished carrying a suitcase up a very long flight of stairs and could now set it down.
A year is a long time. Long enough for a lie to die, a career to dissolve, and a girl to become who she was always supposed to be. My side of the scoreboard after 1 year. GPA 4.0. 1 published paper in a peer-reviewed journal. A summer research fellowship at an AI lab that had rejected 200 applicants and taken 12. A desk by a window. A name people recognized when I walked into a room. Dylan's side. Terminated from Meridian Technologies. Master's degree revoked. Civil lawsuit pending. $180,000 in repayment sought. Living in my parents' spare bedroom. Applying for jobs that required explaining a 6-year gap built on credentials he no longer had. My father had been making monthly payments on a mortgage he had co-signed. $2,800 a month on a retiree's pension. He had not complained to me. Maybe he understood that the bill was his too. He had co-signed more than a loan. My mother sent a card in May. 3 lines in her careful cursive on cream stationery. I am learning. It is hard. I miss you. I held the card for a long time. I put it in my desk drawer. I was not ready to answer it.